In the desolate remnants of Raccoon City, where shadows whisper and the air is thick with decay, a group of survivors huddles in an abandoned gas station, the flickering fluorescent lights barely piercing the oppressive darkness. The night is filled with distant growls, echoing the horrors that lurk just beyond the walls. As they gather their resources, a sudden crash sends them into a frenzy. A grotesque figure bursts through the entrance, its body a twisted amalgamation of flesh and machinery. Panic erupts as they scramble for weapons, the reality of their situation crashing down on them. There's no safe haven, no escape from the relentless pursuit of the infected. As the group fights to fend off the creature, memories of their past lives flash before their eyes. Loved ones left behind, a world that once was, now reduced to a nightmare. One by one, their courage falters as the creature proves relentless, each attack revealing the horror of its transformation. Once human, now a mindless vessel of rage. Amid the chaos, they find a radio crackling with static, delivering desperate pleas for help from other survivors, but the message is soon drowned out by the monstrous howls outside. As the night drags on, trust begins to erode among the survivors. Suspicion festers, fueled by fear and the realization that one among them might not be what they seem. Tensions rise as they uncover secrets buried deep within their past's betrayals, regrets, and a haunting guilt that weighs heavily on their hearts. The gas station, once a mere stop for fuel, transforms into a claustrophobic prison, each corner concealing lurking horrors, both external and internal. In a desperate attempt to escape, they formulate a plan to reach the nearby police station, but as they make their way through the darkened streets, the atmosphere grows thick with dread. Shadows stretch and twist, forming grotesque shapes that mock their every step. The streets, once familiar, are now a labyrinth of despair, filled with the groans of the undead and the echoes of their own fears. The survivors must confront not only the horrors outside, but also the darkness within themselves, as paranoia mounts and trust dissipates like smoke in the wind. Finally reaching the police station, they find it eerily silent, the remnants of a battle long since fought evident in the blood-stained walls and shattered glass. As they explore the building, each room reveals the brutal truth of their world, evidence of the horror that unfolded, whispers of the last stand of those who tried to fight back. But just as they begin to regroup, the lights flicker and go out, plunging them into darkness. Panic rises as they realize they are not alone. The sound of shuffling footsteps draws closer, and the air grows heavy with a suffocating sense of impending doom. With nowhere left to run, they must confront the ultimate horror, not just the infected, but the twisted reality of survival. As the night wears on, the survivors are forced to make choices that will haunt them forever, blurring the line between humanity and monstrosity. In this harrowing struggle for survival, the true terror lies not in the monsters outside, but in the darkness within, as each one grapples with the lengths they will go to in order to survive. The chilling echoes of their screams merge with the howls of the undead, forever marking the night as a descent into madness, a reminder that in a world filled with horror, sometimes the greatest monster is the one lurking within. As the darkness deepens, the survivors cling to whatever hope they have left. The flickering light from their makeshift torches casts grotesque shadows on the walls, each flicker resembling the twisted faces of the infected. The police station feels like a tomb, filled with memories of those who fought and fell, and the survivors can almost feel their lingering presence in the air. Mia, still reeling from the chaos, tries to rally the group. "We need to stick together. If we can find a way to fortify this place, maybe we can ride out the night," she urges, her voice trembling but resolute. Yet the weight of despair hangs heavy, and her words barely penetrate the fog of fear enveloping them. Ethan, once a source of strength, now stands at the edge of a breakdown, haunted by his bite wound, which continues to fester, a constant reminder of his imminent fate. As the group barricades the entrance, the sounds of the undead grow louder, a relentless cacophony of moans and shuffling feet that reverberates through the building. Tension mounts as the shadows seem to shift closer, blurring the line between their fears and reality. In the cramped space, accusations fly. "You should have known better than to let Ethan come with us," Tom snaps, glaring at Mia. "If he turns, it's on you." The accusation hangs in the air like a noose, and Mia feels the sting of betrayal pierce her heart. But before she can respond, the lights flicker once more, and a bone-chilling silence envelops them. A heavy thud echoes from the back of the station, followed by a low growl that sends shivers down their spines. They freeze, every instinct screaming for them to flee, yet they remain paralyzed by fear. Just then, the radio crackles to life again, faint and distorted. "Help! We're trapped. They're coming." The signal dies abruptly, replaced by static and the sinister sounds of the undead pressing against the barricades. With their numbers dwindling, they are faced with a harrowing choice: make a stand here or attempt a desperate escape into the night. Amidst the rising panic, Ethan, driven by despair, stumbles into the shadows. "I can't do this anymore," he whispers, tears streaming down his face. "Just leave me." "Save yourselves," but before anyone can stop him, he vanishes into the darkened hallways of the station. "Mia, we have to go after him," Tom insists, his voice rising with urgency. But another growl interrupts them. Closer this time, the infected are breaking through. "No time," Mia shouts, her heart racing. They turn their focus to the barricades, desperately reinforcing them as the door shudders under the weight of the assault. The room fills with the frantic sound of their breath, each heartbeat pounding in their ears as they brace for the inevitable. But just as hope seems to slip away, Mia catches a glimpse of a flickering light through a broken window. "There, the back exit," she shouts, pointing toward a narrow alley that could lead to freedom. In a frenzy, they gather their belongings and rush toward the exit, adrenaline coursing through their veins. But as they move, a bone-chilling scream pierces the air, a sound so primal that it freezes them in place. They turn to see Ethan, now a grotesque shadow of his former self, stumbling toward them, eyes glazed with a predatory hunger. He lunges, but Tom pushes Mia out of the way, taking the brunt of the attack. No, Mia screams, horror etched across her face as Tom wrestles with the infected Ethan, their struggle a brutal dance of life and death. She watches helplessly as Tom fights valiantly, but it's clear the infection is too strong. In a final act of desperation, he manages to shove Ethan away and yells, "Go! Now!" The group hesitates, torn between loyalty and survival, but the sound of the infected pounding at the barricades snaps them back to reality. They push through the back exit, tumbling into the alleyway. The air outside is cold and biting, a stark contrast to the suffocating fear within the station. As they sprint down the darkened street, the sounds of chaos follow them, a cacophony of screams, growls, and the shattering of glass. The once familiar streets of Raccoon City are now alien, a labyrinth of horrors where every shadow threatens to engulf them. Yet, as they navigate the twisted paths, an unsettling realization settles in: they've escaped the immediate threat, but the scars of their experiences will never fade. Paranoia creeps back in, raising questions about who they can truly trust. With the weight of guilt pressing on Mia's shoulders for leaving Tom behind, the true horror has only just begun. In the distance, they see the flickering lights of what seems to be a survivor camp, a beacon of hope, but also a reminder of the fragility of their existence. As they approach, the group must confront their past decisions, each carrying the burden of survival in a world where humanity itself is under siege. The night may have saved them for now, but they know that the real battle lies ahead, where trust is a luxury few can afford, and the darkness within them is the greatest monster of all. As they draw closer to the survivor camp, the flickering lights illuminate a grim scene. Makeshift tents and barricades create a fortress against the horrors outside, but the air is thick with tension. The survivors exchange nervous glances, each one grappling with the ghosts of their decisions. Mia's heart races with guilt over Tom and Ethan, and she wonders if they'll find acceptance or condemnation in this new sanctuary. As they step inside the camp, they're met with wary eyes. A group of hardened survivors stands guard, their faces etched with the toll of constant vigilance. One of them, a woman named Sarah, steps forward, assessing the newcomers with a mix of suspicion and curiosity. "You're lucky to be alive," she states flatly, her voice low and gravelly. "But we don't take in just anyone. What happened back there?" Mia hesitates, the weight of her truth a burden she struggles to articulate. "We lost people," she finally admits, her voice barely above a whisper. We had to leave them behind." The words hang in the air, heavy with regret, and she can see the understanding flicker in Sarah's eyes, a reflection of her own pain. As the group is led deeper into the camp, They notice that everyone seems on edge, each person keeping a careful distance from the others. Rumors of betrayals and infections swirl like shadows, and Mia feels the paranoia from the police station creeping back in. In a world where trust is scarce, alliances can quickly turn to daggers. That night, as they settle around a flickering fire, the weight of their shared trauma brings them together, yet still keeps them apart. They share their stories, fragments of lives once lived, but the darkness looms, reminding them that it could all be taken away in an instant. Ethan's fate lingers in Mia's mind, a constant reminder of the danger that still lurks. Just when they begin to feel a semblance of safety, a commotion erupts on the outskirts of the camp. Shouts echo through the night, followed by the unmistakable sounds of a struggle. The guards spring into action, weapons drawn, while Mia and the others look on in horror, adrenaline flooding their veins. The camp's sanctuary quickly transforms into a battlefield, fear spreading like wildfire. As the camp erupts into chaos, Mia grabs a makeshift weapon, her instincts taking over. "We have to help," she shouts, pushing her way through the throng. Tom's face flashes in her mind, and she refuses to let another moment of hesitation cost them their lives. But as they rush toward the source of the noise, they realize the horror of their situation. An infected has breached their perimeter, and it's not alone. The infected surge forward, their eyes vacant and filled with a mindless hunger. Panic spreads as the guards attempt to contain the chaos, but they are outnumbered. Mia fights alongside the others, her body moving on instinct, each blow a desperate attempt to survive. But in the chaos, she catches a glimpse of a figure in the shadows, a familiar face, twisted by the infection, yet unmistakable. A chill runs down her spine as she realizes that the past is haunting her again. In her desperation to protect the others, she faces the brutal truth: Ethan is lost, and she must confront him. Torn between the remnants of their friendship and the instinct to survive, Mia steels herself, preparing for the inevitable confrontation. As the battle rages around them, she knows that the choices they make now could seal their fates, binding them to the darkness they've fought so hard to escape. The night stretches on, a cruel reminder that in a world overrun by horror, redemption may come at a price far greater than survival. The chaos swirls around Mia as she pushes forward, her heart pounding in her chest. The camp is engulfed in mayhem, screams and growls merging into a nightmarish symphony. She locks her eyes on Ethan, now fully transformed, his once familiar face twisted into a grotesque mask of hunger and rage. Memories of their friendship flash before her: laughter, late-night talks, plans for a future that now feels impossibly distant. As she inches closer, her hands tremble around the makeshift weapon, uncertainty gnawing at her resolve. "Ethan," she cries out, desperation mingling with a flicker of hope. "It's me. Fight it." For a moment, a glimmer of recognition flickers in his vacant eyes, and Mia's breath catches. But then the darkness takes over again, and he lunges at her with terrifying speed. Instinct kicks in, and she sidesteps just in time, narrowly avoiding his grasp. The sight of him in such a monstrous form tears at her heart, yet she knows what she must do. Around her, the other survivors struggle against the tide of infected, the guards overwhelmed and retreating. Sarah shouts commands, but chaos reigns. Mia feels the weight of the moment pressing down on her. She can't let fear dictate her actions. Steeling herself, she rushes toward Ethan, dodging the chaos surrounding her. "Mia," a voice shouts, but she ignores it, focusing only on Ethan. He stumbles, momentarily off balance, and in that brief instant she sees the flicker of the friend she once knew. She swings her weapon, striking him hard, but it doesn't incapacitate him, just sends him stumbling back. The realization hits her: there's no saving him now. With tears in her eyes, she steels herself. "I'm sorry, Ethan," she whispers, her heart breaking. As he lunges again, she realizes there's no way around it. She must end his suffering. In a swift, painful motion, she strikes again, this time with all the strength she can muster. The impact resonates with a sickening thud as Ethan falls to the ground, his body going limp. Silence descends momentarily, the battle around her fading as Mia kneels beside him. She cradles his head, her tears mingling with the dirt and blood on the ground. "I'll remember you," she chokes out, a final farewell to the boy he once was. Just then, the surviving guards regroup, pushing the remaining infected back. Sarah approaches, her face a mask of sorrow and resolve. We need to fall back. We can't hold this position, she shouts, urgency coursing through her voice. Mia nods, still grappling with the loss, the weight of her choice heavy on her heart. As they retreat, the camp transforms from a haven into a graveyard, the flickering lights now casting eerie shadows over fallen comrades. The survivors stumble into the night, haunted by the choices that led them here. The distant sounds of the undead grow fainter as they move deeper into the woods, but the scars of this night will remain forever etched in their minds. Mia walks alongside Sarah, the silence between them filled with understanding. They've all faced the darkness, both outside and within. As dawn breaks, casting a pale light over the landscape, Mia knows the fight isn't over. They have survived, but at a cost that will forever change them. The road ahead is uncertain, but together they'll find a way to navigate the shadows of this new world, determined to hold onto their humanity even as it slips away. With each step, Mia vows to carry the memory of Ethan and Tom, a reminder that even in the depths of despair, hope can flicker like a candle in the dark, guiding them toward survival.